Congratulate yourself, because you've just made the best decision you're likely to make all day. You've tuned into the voice of reason with Tugboat Calhoun. Tugboat answers your questions and brings you the news that you need to know, because Tugboat knows better than you. And now, here's Tugboat.
Toot toot. Tugboat Calhoun here, towing another load of pants-free podcasting into port by daybreak. Well, sorry Tuggernauts, I'm a little late with this week's broadcast. You see, I've been suffering with an intense ear infection, and due to my compromised immune system because of a veritable alphabet of hepatitis I'm having to experiment with various non-antibiotic cures. I've urinated into my own ear, I've used breast milk, I've jammed clove upon clove of garlic in there, I've put a cigarette in there and lit it on fire. Generally every spice in the cabinet has gone in there, including actual spice. The pressure is intense, I'm a bit dizzy, and I might have to resort to a self-amputation, much in the way of Vincent van Gogh. But that's enough about me. You didn't tune in to hear about my problems. You tuned in to hear about other people's problems when I give them advice as to how to handle it, because that's what I do. I answer your questions and I tell you the news that you need to know. But before I do that, I have to tell you about today's hero in a segment that will be announced thusly.
Now, it's time for our first segment. Voice of the Heroes, here on The Voice of Reason, with Tugboat Calhoun.
And our hero of the day today is Eddie Latson. Why? Well, I'll tell you. If any competitors choke on their food at the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest, Eddie Latson will make his move. Latson, age 48, of Brooklyn, New York, is the EMT on hand to apply the Heimlich maneuver if an entrant bites off more than they can chew. In 3 years of working the Coney Island event, he has never had to administer the life-saving technique, but he has sprung into action when eaters vomit. "I hold the bag," he told the Huffington Post. Latson chalks up the contestants' choke-free digestion to professionalism. They have a technique of eating and swallowing, and they know how to let it go at a certain time, he said. But if something should go wrong, he's ready. Latson has lost count of the number of people he has had to save from choking. During the competition, he stays out of the eater's way unless it's time to do otherwise. That line doesn't make any sense. "I don't let them know I'm watching them," he explained. Ha! Well, much like me on the apple crate at Mrs. Gray's house. But you didn't know about that until now, and we'll just pretend like you don't know about that. Don't tell Mr. Gray. As for becoming one of them, that would be tough for him to swallow. "I can only eat 2, he said of the hot dogs. When you watch these guys, your stomach turns a different way. Well, there you have it. Eddie Latson, the Heimlich maneuver guy at the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, is our hero of the day.
Good news, comrades! Now is the time for your favorite segment, Voice of the Proletariat. Here on The Voice of Reason with Tugboat Calhoun.
The first question that I will address is from Tom, and Tom says, "Tugboat, my fiance's dad's funeral and my best friend's wedding are on the same day in 2 different states. Well, Thomas, if one can declare that the Cambridge police acted stupidly without knowing any of the details, I don't need the details to know your situation and make a definitive judgment on it. Here's what you do. You tell the wedding guests that you're going to the funeral. You tell the funeral guests that you're going to the wedding. That way you're covered to make a break for it and start a new life in Cuba. That's right, Cuba, in the sunny Caribbean where you can get away from it all. It's a socialist paradise, therefore you don't have to pay for your own health care. And so long as you don't desire to express political opinions, life for you will be fantastic. That's right, sunny Cuba. Cuba. That's what you should do, Thomas. Thank you for the question. The next question is from Rujjat, and he writes, "Salam, I have broken my fast, ? I'm from Karachi, and over 800 plus people have died in the past 3 weeks due to heat strokes. I broke my fast a couple of hours ago before Maghrib time because I was feeling very weak, had a headache, and a tummy that hurt real bad. I've broken my fast 2 times this Ramzan. Did I do the right thing? I need a sincere and honest opinion. May Allah bless you. Well, Ruchjat, may Allah bless you. Here's the thing. I'm not the authority on these things, and I've never intentionally fasted in my life. Even when I was at vegan retreats, I would, of course, still sneak out to get beef jerky, which made me really, really stinky during these sweat lodges. Not only am I not the authority on fasting, but on any religion that doesn't worship the sun and college professors directly. You see, I'm something of a Jesse Ventura-style sun worshiper. So what I will do is forward your question to ISIS, who I understand are the authority on matters like this. And I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's not like they're gonna put you in a cage and burn you alive or anything. Come on. All right. Thanks, Ruchjat, and you take care. The next question is from Jason, and he writes, Tugboat, will the American flag be banned someday, since some people are insulted by it? Well, yes, when the new system, as I discuss later with Perry Caravello, once the new system is instituted and there are no more nations, and we're just broken up into FEMA regions worldwide, then there will be no need for an American flag. We'll just have a flag with the number of the FEMA region that we're in on it. So, sun willing, someday there will be no American flag. Thank you for the question, Jason. The next question is from Richard. Richard, may I call you Dick? And Richard wants to know, Tugboat, I don't like my ethnicity, ? A lot of my ancestry goes back to England, and I would honestly... hold on here. You haven't mastered the language of your ancestors. And I would honestly rather have no connection to anything about that country or its culture. Alright, well that's not a question, it's a statement. However, luckily for you, ethnicity is relative and subjective in the 21st century. Much in the way of Rachel Dolezal, you don't even have to choose an ethnicity that has a comparable skin tone to the one that you're born with. So you can choose to be Jamaican or Saudi or really anything that you like. Personally, I identify as a Saturnanian, that's right, someone from the gas giant of Saturn. Don't like it? Tough. That's my right. Thank you for the question, Dick. Next, a question from Quentin, and Quentin wants to know, Tugboat, why do female criminals receive notably shorter sentences than male criminals for the exact same crime? Nope, not touching that one. Thank you for the question, Quentin. The FCC would boot me like that. Ireli would like to know, Tugboat, how to teach my puppy not to bite? ? Kind of a question. She's not doing it aggressively, but she is just playing, but her teeth are like needles, and sometimes she gets a bit carried away and bites really hard. How can I teach her not to bite? Well, put her outside where she belongs, and the world will teach her what happens when she bites. Some people think that love is the way to deal with aggression. Other people think counter-aggression is the way to deal with aggression. However, the true way to deal with aggression is completely ignoring it, and it'll go away, just like the dog if you leave it outside, and it won't bite anymore. Thank you for the question, Areli. Now, Jim Dragon would like to know, Tugboat, should Native American statues be removed because, they lost? Ooh, well, Jim Dragon, I think that you're probably referencing the Confederate statue hullabaloo going on these days, and I'll apply a degree of correction here. The Confederate statues are not controversial because the Confederates lost, but because what the Confederacy stood for. And people may say that, well, the Confederacy stood for states' rights. The state right that they were seeking to uphold was to, have slaves. So even though the percentage of Cherokees that held slaves in the Confederacy was higher, about 7%, than the Caucasian Americans, about 5%, who held slaves in the Confederacy, you understand that because it's 2015, we can only be upset with the Euro-Americans who did it. And we won't talk at all about the fact that there were freed Africans who then went on to own slaves themselves, in a much smaller percentage than that of the Cherokee and Euro-American slaveholders, but it still happened. However, it's 2015, so we won't be discussing that. Anyway, about the Native American statues. No, if you want to remove them, you will be called a racist because you are. thank you for the question. And the last question is from Sophie B., and she wants to know, Tugboat, why do you think poverty is so high in the USA? Well, Sophie, congratulations on formulating an actual question. I'm not sure how you escaped the public school system, the high fructose corn syrup, the fluoride, and the mercury, but I'll find out. And it won't happen again. But anyway, Sophie, the reason that we have so much poverty in America is because of capitalism. Capitalism, greed, and institutional racism. Thank you for the question. Well, those are all the questions I have time for in this show, so if you have a question you would like me to answer on next week's program, you can email them to me at toottoot@tugboatcalhoun.com or tugboat.calhoun@yahoo.com. You can also find me on Facebook, you can tweet me a question, or you can even send it telepathically. I accept those. Just nothing early in the morning. I like to sleep in.
Unfortunately, coming up, we have your least favorite segment, Voice of Vermont, here on the Voice of Reason with Tugboat Calhoun.
And sadly, as usual, I have a few very important stories to bring you from Vermont. They're not interesting, so I will try to do this as quick as possible. I have here a list of the drunkest states in the Union. And go figure, Vermont is number 3, after Wisconsin and Washington, D.C., which is one of the 57 former states. When adults 21 and over in every state were asked if they'd had an alcoholic beverage in the last 30 days, a staggering 64.47 Vermonters out of 100 answered in the affirmative. Wisconsin was just above at 65.33, and at the very bottom of the list was, go figure, Utah, where less than 30 of 100 adults had an alcoholic beverage within the last 30 days. Well, aside from fuck up everything, I guess there's not that much else to do in Vermont. And since you can't drive while drunk because of repressive, draconian, capitalistic American laws, you have to stay at home, and who's at home with you? Well, your cat. So even though this story doesn't come from Vermont, it's pretty relative because if you're in Vermont, you're probably drunk and have to stay at home with your cat. And this comes from Newser.com. If your cat doesn't seem to want to sit still while you pet it, you might be doing it wrong. Yes, it turns out that there is a right and wrong way to pet your cat. Researchers from the United Kingdom's University of Lincoln noted in their abstract, as part of its role as a pet, cats are expected not only to tolerate but enjoy being touched. They set out to determine how one should best do that via 2 experiments, which zeroed in on hander familiarity and the cat's various body regions. The upshot? Leave the tail alone. That region returned the most negative scores regardless of how familiar the petter was. The Washington Post explains that the tail is a sort of cat erogenous zone, and petting may overstimulate it. It points to a 2002 study that echoes that causal finding and says that petting the temporal region between the eyes and ears was preferable. As for whether you start with the ears or the back, the study showed the order of regions touched really didn't matter. One odd finding that needs further investigation: per the researchers, negative responses were higher when owners, not strangers, stroked the cat. The University of Lincoln researchers have examined the topic before. In a 2013 study, they found that cats who disliked being petted, but allowed their owners to do so, may have been stressed out by the ordeal. So there you have it, Vermonters. When you're at home drinking your swill, pet the cat between the eyes and ears and leave the tail alone. Believe it or not, there are rules about how you interact with animals.
Wondering what Tugboat and his Illuminati buddies are up to? Find out in this segment, Voice of the Tugbears, here on The Voice of Reason with Tugboat Calhoun.
Tensions rise in Bolivia as indigenous witches prepare for Pope's visit. At a witches' market in the Bolivian city of El Alto, dried llama fetuses said to bring good fortune hang outside tin shack stalls while healers read the future in coca leaves and call on ancient spirits to cure ills. Sounds like my kind of scene. When Pope Francis visits Bolivia next week, he will discover a nation that cherishes animal sacrifices and pagan worship, and where relations between indigenous communities and the Roman Catholic Church have been strained. The country's first indigenous president, Evo Morales, may the sun be with him, has frequently clashed with the church. I hope he comes with good intentions and not the same thinking as in times past, said Louisa Quispy, age 60, a self-described witch in El Alto. We want respect for our culture. Francis sets out on Sunday for Ecuador, Bolivia, and Paraguay, 3 of South America's smallest and most impoverished nations, taking with him a message of solidarity for the downtrodden. A message, but of course no material support. Church leaders in Bolivia are calling the visit a reconciliation and renewal. The Argentine-born pontiff will seek to heal rifts between the country's indigenous people and the descendants of the Spanish colonial conquerors who brought the Catholic faith to Bolivia. 3 out of every 4 people in the country of 10.6 million are Catholic. Quispy's stall is one of dozens along a dirt track where small stoves burn offerings to Pachamama, or Mother Earth, and fill the air with scented smoke. A large white statue of Christ overlooking the urban sprawl towers high at the end of the street. The Pope is a European god, not an Andean god, said one healer who withheld his name, fearing government reprisals. It seems absurd the government would spend so much money on the Pope's visit. Well, when a European god comes to town, you better host him. Morales, an Aymara Indian who's been in office since 2006, promised early in his presidency to govern in favor of the indigenous majority, marginalized by the ruling elite, and left as poor farmers after Spain colonized the Andean nation. The former coca farmer has called the Catholic Church an instrument of domination which brings injustice and inequality in 2008. A year later, Morales backed a constitutional referendum that stripped the Catholic Church of its official status and declared Bolivia a secular state. However, he cited the Pope's concern for the environment as a potential bridge. He seems to like a Pope who wants to look after Mother Earth, Cardenas said. I don't know who Cardenas is. We hope the Pope can be a positive example for the ultra-conservative elements of the Church here. Chewing coca would be a strong signal that the Pope appreciated Bolivia's indigenous culture, referring to the widespread indigenous custom of chewing the leaves that are a mild stimulant and the major ingredient of cocaine. And speaking of cocaine, I'll be hosting skateboarding legend Perry Carvello later in the program. The Vatican said this week that the Pope would decide for himself whether to chew the leaves in order to ward off altitude sickness when he lands at La Paz. On the capital's steep-sloped streets, there is little evidence of the underlying tensions between the church and the indigenous people, and even the government appears in a conciliatory mood. Buildings are being spruced up for the Pope's arrival, and banners welcoming him loom large across the city, while the government has designated 2 days of his visit to be public holidays. We're going to the main road to see him come from El Alto, said Jeanette Sarabia, age 27, whose stall at the Witches' Market is stacked high with candles shaped as saints and skulls. So there you have it. The Pope will be riding llamas in South America. And we'll travel now from Bolivia to Utah, which is a journey that you can't make via tugboat because Bolivia is a landlocked country due to their inability to win wars with their neighbors in the 19th century. Out of Provo, Utah, pilot saves own bacon, glides pig-shaped balloon after crash. The pig couldn't fly, the cowboy got away, and the pilot's okay. So it went Thursday at the Independence Day Festival in Utah, where officials said a pig-shaped hot air balloon descended quickly to the ground after hitting a Wyoming cowboy-themed entry. Paul Varner, a festival executive, said the licensed pilot of the fallen balloon suffered minor burns to his face, and he was treated at the scene and released. The balloons were rising at a field near downtown Provo when the top of the pig entry crashed into the basket of the cowboy balloon. The collision ripped a hole in the nylon fabric of the pig balloon, and a piece of plastic caught fire as it descended. The fire was not extensive, said Kosovalisti, a spokesman for the Bank of American Fork, which sponsored the balloon known as Seymour, its piggy bank mascot. The pilot, Irvin Ortley, was the only person in the balloon and suffered minor burns from the melted plastic that dripped onto his face, the bank said in a statement. Oh, that's cute. Bank statement, get it? What saved my bacon was that the head of the pig held a lot of hot air and helped the balloon descend at a safer rate, Ortley said in a statement. Witness Kevin Alnig, 37, of Provo, said he saw the accident at America's Freedom Festival Balloon Fest. So it's a festival fest. Well, the fest would explain all the German names. Anyway, at the festival fest, he watched the pig balloon come down fast and land in a fenced construction zone. He joked that parts of the balloon got stuck on a tree and looked like strips of bacon. People jumped the fence to try to help the pilot, who was bleeding and appeared shaken up, Aunig said. We were trying to help him, but the balloon was still on fire. Varna said the pilot responded wisely by gliding the damaged balloon slowly despite the fire. The pilot, who was an excellent pilot, was able to control it as well as probably can be done, Varna said. He kept both of his burners going so that he could descend slower. There were no injuries reported among the thousands of spectators at the Festival Fest. This was very unique. We've had one accident, and it was today, in 31 years, Varna said. Well, a two-armed man, presumably a two-armed man, couldn't fly the balloon. However, we do have a story about an armless woman flying a plane. This as written by David Moy at the HuffingtonPost.com. By any definition, Jessica Cox is an accomplished woman. The 32-year-old resident of Tucson, Arizona, was born without arms, but has managed to learn how to surf, play the piano, and has a black belt in Taekwondo, which is inferior to Kung Fu. She also learned how to fly a plane. In 2008, she became the first pilot licensed to fly with her feet. Cox prides herself on being independent and admits there is one thing she can't do herself. The only thing I really need help with is doing my hair, she said. Patrick learned how to do a very nice ponytail, bun, and braid, and it's very special because he realized how much it annoyed me to have my hair in my face. The article doesn't mention anyone named Patrick at all, so I'm guessing that is her betrothed, her husband, her brother, somebody close to her. And the article ends there. Great job, HuffPo. Tuggernauts, Tuggertots, and Tugger Babes around the Tugger Earth, I would like to now introduce to you my friend, extreme sports legend, skateboarder, snowboarder, actor, comedian, recovering crack cocaine addict, Perry Caravello.
Morning, Mr. Calhoun. How are you today?
I'm pleased to speak with one such as yourself on this beautiful Sunday. I know it's beautiful here in FEMA Region 7. How are things in California with the drought?
Dry. Dry.
Has this...
You need some rain.
Has the drought had a personal...
I got a band called, hold on. Hold on, I'll tell you in just a second. The band's name is, Jackal from Atlanta, Georgia. Okay? And they were one of the first, if not the first, band that I hosted for at the Reseda Country Club back in I believe it was 88 or 89. And they got a song called When Will It Rain? Well, we need lots of rain here in L.A. Lots of rain in L.A. And if any of the guys from Jackal is listening to this right now, woo!
Have you heard of the DARPA project, which is a government weather machine? They use it to create earthquakes and tidal waves. Should the government use the DARPA project to create rain in Southern California?
I really don't know anything about that weather machine thingamajiggy that these guys are doing with Delta projects. So it's a weather creator, you're telling me?
It's a weather machine that they can use as a weapon of warfare to create earthquakes in places like Iran and China when they don't play ball.
Interesting.
Has the drought had any direct impact on you?
Direct impact?
Yes, like, for example...
Here's the good part about it, not raining. We get to skateboard when we want to, yeah!
So you've come out of skateboard retirement.
The thing when there is no rain, or because of it being no rain, your brain starts to dry out, and your body starts to dry out, and you get old fast, and you frickin' turn into a flake. But,
turn into a California raisin.
Yeah, I turn into a California raisin.
2 scoops of trouble.
My God, I just want to be a nice, moist, soft, plump pear or a plump peach or a, lovable, screw it, I'm just a watermelon.
Perry the Watermelon Caravello. Well, you've had worse nicknames.
No, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing about melons and fruits and stuff.
You're in a very fruity mood.
Avocados, peaches, apples. I love my apples. Golden. Where's my brain?
Well, it's dried out from the drought.
I haven't been able to sleep all night. I've been so overwhelmed with the website, the Jack Black website, the Festival Supreme, and seeing my picture in there with the other two down a mole. Like, wow. The first time I saw it, I'm like, no big deal. But then a day later, and I'm looking at everybody else on the bill, and there with me, and our photograph is next to Tenacious D. I wonder if I'll be able to host their rock concert like I used to do when I used to host the local shows when I did that stuff back between 1989 and up to, was it 89 or 99, up to 2009. Year my mom passed. That's when I stopped doing rock concerts and hosting rock concerts and stuff.
Well, one comment and then a question. Comment in the first. Perhaps if you impress them, try not to upstage Jack Black, as you did with Jimmy Kimmel, but if you impress them without upstaging them, they'll probably let you host them later. And speaking of hosting bands and being enthusiasts for bands, have you considered becoming a podcast enthusiast since podcasting is the new thing?
Something about the thing about podcasts, I want nothing to do with podcasts, and I'll tell you why. Not to be negative, but podcasts don't pay like a regular TV show or a regular, movie. Anybody and everybody can start their own podcast if they have a setup on their freaking computer. Boom, they can do a podcast. It doesn't. Podcasts aren't squat unless you have major sponsors behind you. People that do TV shows, every time you turn on a TV show, you see commercials. That's how they make their money. And podcasts, sometimes you'll hear, like Don Barris, we used to have this Asian restaurant when we did the Big Three podcast back in the day, and he was the sponsor for some food. But this Asian restaurant gave us food all the time, and it was actually really good stuff. I forgot the name of the place.
What the Huck?
Darn it. What the Huck?
What the Huck? I believe you were banned from there for a period of time for destroying the restroom.
Oh, please. I took a dump in there one time. Wow.
Well, I only know what I hear on the podcast.
I know.
So, we were talking just a moment ago about the Jack Black Comedy Fest. Does it have a specific name, or am I just making up names here?
The name that I saw online was I'm doing this off my head. Festival Premiere or Festival Supreme? I believe it's Festival Supreme, Festival Supreme is what's coming up on my brain. Again, I was unable to get sleep last night. I'm worried about this interview and all sorts of other things.
Yes, here in the studios here at WDCK, where I'm broadcasting from, they just typed it up for me, and it is the Festival Supreme.
Festival Supreme. Yeah.
That is on October 10th?
Pardon me?
October 10th is the date for that?
Yeah.
Is that going to be on...
It's 9, 10, 11, and 12. I think it's a 4-day event, but they've only got October 10th on the internet.
And what sorts of things are you and the rest of the Big Three going to be doing during the Festival Supreme?
Pardon me?
What sort of bit will you be doing? Will it be a panel? Will you be doing sketches or skits?
You know what? I am not informed of things, and the way Don likes to work things, it's weird. It's good in one eye and it's bad in the other. A really good person to get along with and stuff, and I'm also very easy. I'm kind of what you call trigger happy. If you upset me, I'll go off on you, and I'll probably not stop until I run out of breath, or. But yeah, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I just get fed up over people bringing up to me something that happened to me over 20 some odd years ago, and it's like, can you move on? Can you move forward? Can you grow up? You know, it's like grades you got in elementary school. It's not something so stupid. Or the first employer that ever hired you to do work, like if the first job in a restaurant as a dishwasher or a busboy, and something negative that went on there. It's crazy. But they bring up stuff that happened to me, or it happened in my life so many years ago. It's like, stop bringing it up. It's none of your business. That thing that happened to me some odd years ago, it happened. It's over with. I lived through it. I moved forward.
Well, I think the overall message here would be leave the negative in the past and move forward in the positive. Let's move on and move forward. That's I think the overall theme that I get from your body of work.
Correct.
So, speaking of your body of work, I was watching some of your craft yesterday, not just on Windy City Heat, but also some of the extra work that you've done. And I understand you were recently doing some filming.
Recently? What, about 10 years ago? I don't remember. Recently meaning how long ago?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was under the impression that last week you were doing some filming.
Oh, with Don, maybe? Because I haven't been in any other major projects.
Oh, perhaps. So when you do some of your extra work, and your body of work is quite extensive, the films that you are an extra in, if I'm not mistaken, you were an extra in Bedazzled, Austin Powers. Any other major hits?
Austin, let's see. Bedazzled, yeah, the Austin Powers, what was the name of that movie? The Austin Powers, Gold Member was the one major film that I did where oh shoot.
Well, when you are filming, do you wear the fanny pack? And if you're not allowed to wear the fanny pack on the set, where do you store it?
There's like a little set locker room area where I normally keep all my stuff. You know. So the movies that I've been in that I can remember, you want me to name them off down the line?
I think we've all got access to the IMDb. I was just prepping the audience.
The IMDb doesn't have squat. I'll give it to you right now because I just picked up my old resume. Windy City Heat's the movie that I lead and starred in. Pirates of the Caribbean, I was a townsman. If you were my girl, I was an auto mechanic. Hollywood Homicide, I was a pedestrian. Duplex. In the movie Duplex, I was featured. Austin Powers 3, I was a prisoner. That's the prison scene that I did, you know. A movie called Showtime with Eddie Murphy and Bobby De Niro, better known as Robert De Niro. I was featured at the gun show over in at the LA Convention Center. Master of Disguise, I was featured in that. Minority Report, I was in 2 feature scenes, but let's see, there was like, you could see where they were running through a closed down mall that they used in Torrance or Linwood.
You were a body double for Steven Seagal, weren't you?
Pardon me?
Weren't you at one time a body double for Steven Seagal?
No. Oh, wait, yes, I was. What was the name of that movie? Yeah, it was. I walked on the sidewalk. I crossed the street for Seagal. As Seagal's body double. That was kind of funny. But yeah, I did that over near, oh shoot, what's the name of that park? Anyway, let's see, I was an AI, artificial intelligence, as a homeless guy here. Pursuit Hobo.
Sounds like you're being typecast.
In Arnie, I was a caddy. In Human Nature, I was featured. In Breakers, I was in the wedding. I was one of the wedding guests. In the movie Blow with Johnny Depp, I was featured. In Ghost World, I was road manager. In Metal Gods, I was a rock and roll roadie. Metal Gods turned into the movie Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg, I think. Yeah. Bedazzled, I was featured. That's also the movie where I met Lisa Marie. Waking up in Reno, I was featured. Little Nicky, which was a lot of fun that month in the early 2000s. I was a background demon. Mighty Joe Young, I was a featured driver in my old 1989 Toyota truck that had a major breakdown on the freeway, and it took about almost a half an hour to get the damn thing started. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and we were just trying to get it going, and it finally turned over, and woo-hoo, everybody on the freeway was like, yeah!
Why don't you let Mole try to fix it?
Pardon me?
Why don't you let Mole try to fix your trucks?
Mole is not a professional. He's a bum. He's a bum. That's Mole. Mole is nothing more than a pot-smoking bum.
Do you think he's gonna...
Go ahead.
Do you think he's gonna fuck up at the Festival Supreme?
That's what I'm not gonna fuck up. That's the way they want me to do. They only want me around because I am a fuck up.
No, do you think Mole is going to fuck it up?
Oh, well, of course he will. Of course he will.
I've always wondered.
Did I already say I was in Little Nicky, Mighty Joe Young?
Yes, you've gotten to those. You were at your...
Godzilla I was in. Of course, Simply Don the movie, because I am the star of the show. Virtuosity I was in. Wayne's World 2 I was in. Bodyguard I was in. The movie Threesome I was in with Alec Baldwin's brother, the youngest Baldwin. And I did the movie Airheads and the other movie with Christine Applegate.
Tehachapi, I believe.
What's that?
Tehachapi, the movie with Christina Applegate?
Yeah, right, Tehachapi.
Now, when you...
TV shows, I was in a TV show called Haunted, 6 Feet Under, Outsiders, The Man Show, The Dating Game, my show, The Comedy Pure Rock Resurrection, Simply Don Project, The Inheritance, and my little girlfriend Terry's Topics, and America's Funniest People, and I played Velcro Man. God, that was a long time ago. It was like in 92, I think it was, maybe 3 or 4, something like that.
When you're on set, do you always get ready by taking a Stone Fury style shake with the bagel and the beer and the old pizza? Do you do that in every film to get ready?
I'm sorry, but that only happened once, and that is it. I just told you that stupid shake from the movie Windy City Heat, that'll never happen to me again.
I was under the impression that Windy City Heat was based on a true story in that you were playing... Well, I was under the impression that you were Stone Fury.
That shake was something Bobcat Goldthwait had me do just to see if I would do it, and it was disgusting, and I will never do protein shake like that ever again.
So Windy City Heat was not based on a true story?
Well, some of it's true. Not the majority of it's not true.
But with the craft service table, did that actually happen?
You were talking about all that candy and donuts and garbage? Mole knocked over the table and they blamed it all on me, saying that I knocked over the table?
Well, it's one of the prevailing theories. Have you been put in charge of a craft service table on any other film set?
No. Not my job. I'm the lead actor. Craft service is not my department. I'm the lead actor, and that's not my position in being an actor, and that's that.
Well, I know that you are the actor, and that you're a comedian. I watched the extras and the deleted scenes from Windy City Heat, and I saw that you had pulled some pretty significant pranks, putting Mole's hand in water to make him urinate on himself while he was sleeping, trashing his trailer, but then also effing with the big three, telling them that you are in the mental hospital in Chicago. And I know you get upset when people call you the Scam Master, but scam is just another word for prank, and you pretty much fuck with everybody around you. Nobody ever knows if you are pranking them or not. So why don't you embrace the being called the Scam Master, and instead of carrying like a loaded handgun and pills in your fanny pack, you could have a whoopee cushion and the water squirting flower and an electric pen in there? Why not?
You see that's the problem that people don't understand about me. I have health issues. That's why the stuff in my fanny pack aren't there. Okay, I have stomach problems. I have a digestive problem. Okay?
Lactose intolerance, if I'm not mistaken.
What?
Lactose intolerance.
I have an ongoing ulcer that I keep taking medicine for, so it doesn't grow.
So you're still lactose intolerant?
I'll always be lactose intolerant. That's like a problem that'll never leave. Yes.
Now, in prisons, they have halal diets, they have kosher diets for the special dietary needs of some inmates. Do you think that they would be able to have a lactose-free diet for lactose-intolerant prisoners?
Well, I'm not in prison.
Well, I'm just thinking.
If you're in jail, it's possible. I would think that they would have. If you're in prison, I would think that they would allow a lactose-free diet for prisoners. Sure. But again, I'm not in prison. I don't ever plan on going back to there. See, look, I'm gonna announce this right now because it's got to be this way because I'm about to really end everything. And the announcement I'm gonna make is I have been studying hardcore to become a baptized Jehovah's Witness. I need to better my life. I'm tired of my life being demoralized and downgraded. Okay? I need to boost my mentality, boost my ego, boost my spirits up with positive, and I need Jehovah God's Holy Spirit to get me out of this misery called the negativity of Windy City Heat, and I want everything positive. I mean, Don Barris, when they were here at my house, they were filming me on my knees praying off my bed, and they had me have some of my Jehovah's Witness literature around me, and I'm going to state it right now on your show. It better not be used in any negative fashion, in any way, shape, or form, because if it will be used in any negative fashion, that right there will end the project, and I will throw away thousands, if not millions, billions, or trillions of dollars just for that reason alone. I will throw it all away if they want to use the religion that I'm involved with, being a Jehovah's Witness and pursuing baptism in a negative fashion. That's it. Negativity against my religious beliefs, and goodbye.
Well, I think that's more of a matter between yourself and Simply Don and the Big Three. My line of questioning was going to more of a vein of, with all the ass-kickings that you've dispensed over the years because of people messing with you, has that ever landed you in jail?
No.
No. Also, why haven't you ever kicked Mole's ass?
It would be pointless. There'd be no reason. It would be like, why? Because it's a waste of my time. It's a waste of energy.
Violence is never the answer.
Exactly.
I wish William Randolph Hearst understood that, but you had to show him the hard way.
Yeah. Exactly. That too.
So you were talking earlier about ending the negativity, and as we understand, there is a new system coming. A new system ruled by some people named the Illuminati, so you're familiar with them. And there are some things that the Illuminati believe and would like to institute that I think line up pretty well with your general worldview. For example, a unified monetary system. Therefore, anyone from anywhere in the world sending a $10 shout-out, the $10 would be $10 everywhere, not like the Australian and the Canadian and the Korean money that you have to then go change. And also destroying national identities and national pride and having a one-world system. How do you feel about having a one-world system with no more national identity, so we wouldn't have American Independence Day? We'd all be citizens of the world.
Oh, that would be fantastic. Well, just imagine it. Just imagine it. There will be no more negativity, no more demonism. No more demonism.
So
Satan will be put away in his little, in his abyss, in his, that we read in the Bible for 1,000 years, that when Armageddon comes, Jesus died for us to show that when he was resurrected in 3 days, he's going to resurrect all mankind from the dead on earth, and those that were doing good, that were baptized as a Jehovah's Witness in good faith with Jehovah God, will be on that side of the street, as true pure Christians, and those that are not knowledgeable of Jehovah's truth will be on the other side, and they will learn, and they will be taught of all the good things, and there will be no more negativity, no more evil things happening, and people act like that's not the way the world should run. The world, there's good and there's bad, and it's going to be like that forever. Well, in today's system, it'll be like that forever, because there is a lot of negativity that goes on today. I mean, you just turn on the news, and there's 9 out of 10 items that they bring up on the news, or 99 out of 100 items that they bring up on the news. 9 out of 10 items, that's the first 5 minutes. But 99 out of 100 items they bring up on the news is all negative. You might hear one good report of, like, a cat being stuck in a tree when the house next door got caught on fire, and the fireman got the cat out of the tree for the little girl. Yay, that's a nice thing. Okay, happy little girl. But the house that she lived in just burnt down. Okay, negative.
Well, there's a silver lining to every cloud, and you mentioned in the new system the true 99% and the 1% on opposite sides of the tracks. So in the new system, when there's no national identity, it won't matter that America just celebrated Independence Day. America, as you know, is a melting pot, which, by saying that as a white person, is a microaggression. But in America's melting pot, we have various different peoples. We have, like yourself, Italian Americans, Japanese Americans, Mexican Americans, and everybody brings a unique talent to this country, which is what makes us so great. So you have, if you think of the best actors in America, you've got your De Niros, your Pacinos, Brandos, Caravellos. They're all Italian Americans. And then you look at some of our famous generals, and we've got Eisenhower, Kruger, Schwarzkopf, Spaatz, Grunther, Eisenberger, Dahlquist. Why are there no great German actors?
There's some German actors that are really good. What's that one female actress? I don't have an answer, because why are there no great German actors?
Well, you have so many great Italian actors, but so many great German generals. Why can't Germans act?
I don't know, but I have no idea. Maybe it's because there shouldn't be German actors out there in Germany, I would think.
Well, there's that Frankie Machine character.
Okay. Who?
Frankie Machine, he was on the Big Three podcast with you.
That guy's a geek, all right? I'm talking real actors and actresses. Sharon Stone.
How about Katherine Heigl? Heigl's a German name. Blonde gal from Knocked Up.
Yeah, is she German?
But that's the only example I can think of.
But she's a good actress.
All right, so we've come up with one, and we won't go down the line trying to look for an Italian general on the flip side. So my final question...
Go ahead.
Well, there's Giuseppe Garibaldi, who unified Italy, but that was a long time ago. It happened a long time ago. Before we close, what's one thing that you can leave us with that makes you proud to be an American?
One thing I can leave you with that makes me proud to be American. Or just one thing that, I'm alive. I was born here.
A testament to the country that's kept you alive.
One thing that I'm just proud to be human, to be alive, is that God created all things. Created the heavens, the earth, and all the planets around us, the stars, the sky, the green grass, the beautiful trees. I'm not proud to be American, I'm proud to be human and alive. I'm proud to be a Jehovah's Witness, and I'm proud to soon be getting baptized. I'm not fully dedicated yet, but that's my goal, and I'm going to work very hard for it.
Well, I certainly wish you the...
That's what I'm proud of. I'm proud to be a Jehovah's Witness seeking baptism.
Well, I certainly wish you the best of luck in that goal, and I know that you probably have your worship services to get to today, so I will let you off the hook. Thank you for your time, and as always, you are a professional and a businessman.
Thank you.
And
talking to you. You're a very, very nice gentleman to speak with. All right.
Thank
you very much.
Go out there and kick some ass, Scaremaster.
Have a lovely day. Okay, buddy.
Goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.